I'm Matthew O'Quinn, the Criminal Justice Program Director at Blue Ridge Community College. I've created this slideshow to explain some of the criminal justice course requirements in my classes. I want to be clear that nothing in this presentation requires other professors or adjunct professors in criminal justice at Blue Ridge to abide by my requirements. Speak with those professors, ask them what their requirements are. The course syllabus is really a contract between the student and the professor. It should be read in week 1, preferably on the first day of classes. The first quiz that I will typically put in my classes will ask questions about the course syllabus and this presentation. So be sure to watch this presentation and to take notes. Be sure to read the course syllabus and have it handy before attempting the first quiz. The syllabus is typically located within Module 1 of my classes, and it can also be found on the home page of each course. If you have trouble navigating to find the course syllabus, reach out to your instructor or see me after class. Canvas items added do not mean the course is an online course, so please try not to turn the course into an online course. If it's an in-person course, half of your material may come from in-class discussions. There may be quizzes that are offered in class, and if you're not there, then you're going to get a 0 on that quiz. So don't assume that just because there's that element of the Canvas element of the course that you can miss class. Quizzes may be held in person, they may be held online on different weeks. So it's important to be there. Do not assume that you can take the quizzes online if you miss class. If a quiz is offered online, the end of the module is the last day to take the quiz. No exceptions. I cannot have students emailing me on Monday to say that you missed a quiz on Sunday night if it's at the end of the module, because most of the time you're going to have an entire week to complete a quiz. Therefore, if you wait until Sunday and then an emergency comes up on Sunday, then that's really no excuse. You should have taken it earlier in the week. So I do not advise waiting until the last weekend of a module, which typically ends on Sunday at midnight. Take those quizzes earlier in the week, do your readings earlier. That way, if something comes up on the weekend, you're still going to be able to finish that module. Again, do not email the professor that you missed a quiz. It will not reopen. A grade of 0 will be assigned for any missed quizzes. If that's an in-person quiz and you're not there that day, that's going to be a 0. If it's a online quiz that is open for an entire week and then something happens on Sunday and you don't get to take it on Sunday, Sunday night at midnight, your grade will automatically be assigned a 0. Documented medical emergencies should cover the entire week. Otherwise, don't ask. So if you have a documented medical emergency that happened on Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to be asking you, why didn't you take the quiz on Friday? In response, the grade is going to be assigned to be a 0. It's important to note that professors can see if you are opening the items that are listed within the module, such as videos, links, and whether or not you're clicking on each module. Look at the modules and the syllabus. Don't rely specifically on the calendar reminders for quizzes and other grade items. I've had instances in the past that students have said they didn't take a quiz because it didn't show up in their reminders. Well, that tells me that that student has not looked at the modules. They're only relying on some sort of reminder, and it is not the job of the professor to remind you of quizzes and tests. Look at your modules daily. Look at your syllabus. And I would suggest adding those to a personal calendar. Let's talk about week 15 and week 16. Those are the final 2 weeks of each semester if you're taking a full term 16-week course. We can relate that to week number 7 and 8 if you're taking a half semester course. If you do not take a quiz, it will not automatically be graded as 0. Do not rely on the Canvas grade as the truth. It may not include all the 0 grades that have not been graded by the professor. When you take a quiz, it automatically grades most of the time if it's a multiple choice true false and gives you the immediate grade. If you do not take that quiz, Canvas doesn't know to grade your quiz or your exam. Therefore, I have to manually come in and change those grades at a later time. So if you are relying on your average score, you may be disappointed unless all of those quizzes and exams have been fully graded with a 0. Obviously, when it comes to attendance, if you're taking an asynchronous online course, this does not apply. Course attendance and participation policy as it pertains to an in-person class is that each student will be allowed 2 absences throughout the semester without a penalty in grade. In other words, if you miss 2, you don't need to explain to your professor why you missed those 2. I understand. However, if you miss on a day that there's a graded item, it's going to be a 0. So just go ahead and take that into account before you decide to miss. After each subsequent missed class, 5 points will be deducted from the student's final cumulative grade. That means if you miss 4 classes, you're going to lose 10 points at the end of the semester. If you have an 88 average, which is a B, you will automatically go down to a 78, which is a C. And you'll go down 5 points for every missed class after that. It is important that you commit to these classes, that you attend, and that you attend on time, and that you're not walking in late and disturbing the rest of the class. So go ahead and make up your mind that you're going to attend, that you're going to engage, and that there's going to be some room there. Sometimes things do come up, and I completely understand that. So that's why I'm going to give you 2 misses without any questions asked. That is an entire week worth of classes that you're allowed to miss without any penalty on your final grade. Late work policy. Quizzes and tests are required, and makeups will only be permitted in the case of a documented illness or a family emergency. The course instructor should be notified as soon as practical. Most makeup quizzes will be in the form of a written short answer quiz and will differ from the original taken on the day of class. Final thoughts. Talk to your professor. Use the office hours that are posted and email as soon as possible with any questions that you have. There is a section in the syllabus with most due dates. Use that rather than Canvas dates, which may or may not be accurate. If you're in a completely 100% asynchronous course, your Canvas date should be accurate. But if you're in an in-person course, those dates may not be, as we just use Canvas to help us plan, let the students see what the reading assignments are. It's more of a supplement. So always use that syllabus instead when it comes to dates. And also remember that the professor may change the syllabus with notice. In other words, that is a contract, but I may change it, but I'm going to post an announcement within Canvas. I'm probably going to email you and say it in class if there are any issues at all or any changes that are coming with the syllabus. I'm not just going to change it and say, okay, I promise you, you're going to have 2 exam grades, a midterm and a final, and then all of a sudden there's going to be 3. I'm not going to do that. That's a drastic change. Although there may be changes from time to time, but I will give the class notice. So if you're logging in, if you're checking your email, and if you're logging into the modules and reading the announcements, you will see those changes, but they typically will not happen.